Yes, according to the Harold Kuhns O'Donnell, planning is deciding to in advance to be done in future, which is according to the management point of view. Okay, the first initiation in the management, what we have seen in the previous chapter, that is a planning. So after planning only, initiation, which will be moving for the organizing, staffing, directing, all we are going to see. Okay, so apart from this, we are going to see some of the definitions. What is the planning? So what is the planning mean? Planning is a continuous process of making present entrepreneurial decisions systematically with best possible knowledge of their futurity, organizing systematically the efforts needed to carry out the decision. So whatever the decisions they have been taken in the form of planning, yeah. You want me to share the screen? Fine. Wait a moment. Once you can check here. So these are some of the definitions which I have been given. So according to planning, the process of establishing goals and suitable action for achieving these goals, the author called Stoner Freeman. Okay, while when you are writing the answer for the planning, you need to define one of the author what he is defining. So you can take this as example. Stoner and Freeman define planning as a process of establishing goals and suitable action for achieving these goals. Okay, so here some of the features which we are seeing here. The features are those. The first one is planning is a primary function. As in the management, we have seen that first is a planning. Planning is a primary function, and planning is a goal oriented. So plan is a goal oriented means here how it is a goal oriented, whatever the goals of the organization have been given according to this according to the goal oriented, to achieve the desired goals, we are going to do the planning. So okay, planning is future oriented. So planning is a future oriented means whatever planning we are doing, that is based for the future oriented only. Okay, so basing upon for the future, we are going to do the planning. So this planning is also pervasive. Planning is also pervasive means it means it is involving all the activities which are going to undertaken by the managers. The managers are the persons who are going to involve in all the matters of the, okay. So this planning is going to have the all action, and planning is an intellectual process also. How we are going to call this planning is an intellectual process means planning is it clear my voice everybody? Planning is an intellectual.
Ma'am.
Okay. You're not getting a stuck of any disturbance is not there, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And one more thing, planning is an intellectual process. Planning is an intellectual process means like when we are involving in organized foresight, imagination, and judgment, it requires a mental disposition of thinking before acting, taking facts into consideration rather than depending on guesses. Thus, planning is an intellectual process. We are calling it the planning is an intellectual process. Then planning is a continued process. Okay, planning is a continued process. Planning is a continued process means so planning is a continuous process means once when you are doing the planning means it should be flexible and continued process. Plans do not work on precise and expected. Planning involves making a choice among the alternatives. Thus, planning is a continued process. The planning continued process can be involving a choice also where we can take the choice. This choosing the goals out of multiple goals, deciding about various alternatives, deciding from the several sources, so we should involve some choices also. This choices is going to taken by whom? The managers. The managers will be taking the choices when they are going under the planning. So it involves so many choices. Okay. So after that, we can see about the importance. This is also important topic which we are going to see in the exam point of view, like features and importance they can ask. So I am sharing on the screen this also once again. See here. Mm. So importance of planning also have been shared under this. The first point will be the minimize the risk and uncertainty. See, it is when we are doing in the proper planning, they will in that situation we can minimize the risk, and we are going to analyze the uncertainty also. So uncertainty means business enterprises operate in an uncertain environment. Planning enables to predict future events and prepare the enterprise. So here, this planning is going to involve in a predicting future events. Okay, future basing upon the predicting future events also, we are going to do the planning. Okay, then making objectives clear. The making objectives clear means here setting goals and objectives are the first elements of planning. This gives a sense of direction to the organization as efforts are directed towards well-defined goals. Without planning organization, without planning and organization, this is not going to happen with the help of any of the agency. So here making clear objectives is also one of the important planning, and then giving guides decision making. So planning avoids aimless and ad hoc action. It avoids needs for decisions based on intuition and impulse. So guides means when we are taking the decision making, we are going to give the guidelines also. And the next will be improves efficiency of operations. So there should be more efficient operations for the planning, facilitates optimum utilization of resources. It helps organizations to discover and exploit opportunities. As a rational solution to the problem, planning results in use of most efficient method and increases the efficiency of operations. So here, this facilitates control also. That means we are doing the control also. So in planning, managers set goals. These goals become standards or benchmarks against which performance can be measured. The function of control is to ensure that activities conform to the plans. Thus, control can be exercised only if plans exist. Then, effective coordination also. Effective coordination means in organization, each person, authority, responsibilities are clearly defined. Okay, so the responsibilities are clearly defined means the planning should be coordinate. How if there is no coordination between the managers and the subordinates, everything we require the effective coordination. So the functions performed by individuals and departments, the unites them into single goal. Thus planning helps in effective coordination. When there is a proper coordination only, you can be moving to the most of the important effective coordination. Then the next point will be the moral boost. Moral boost means if organizational plans succeed and goals are achieved, managers and employees feel satisfied. So moral boosted means to achieve their business objectives more successful planning. So here boost is that we need to encourage, we need to achieve the motivation classes, personality development classes. There's a promoters boost for the moral of the employees. Okay. Then we have one more topic on this is the types of plans. Types of plans which we can see here. How many types of plans are there? So these organization objectives are based upon the types of plans. The first one will be the on the basis of levels in organization. So on the basis of levels in organization means this is one of the important topic which we are going to see here again. Regarding this, again I'm sharing on the screen which you can see. Once you can wait a moment. So here on the basis of levels in organizations, in the levels here we are going to see different bases. So the first thing is the strategic plan. Strategic plans means there are broadly defined as the targets, future, okay, basing upon the targets for the future, long-term goals, strategies, everything they are going to be strong external orientation and covers major activities of the organization. So senior executives means the senior executives are the persons called top managers are responsible for development and execution of strategic plans. So then we are going to move for the tactical plans. Tactical plans means tactical planning is done by middle level managers. It translates broad strategic goals and plans into specific goals and plans for each activity of the organization. So these tactical goals tends to be stated in more measurable terms. So measurable terms means according to the planning point of view, which various departments to achieve results outlined in strategic goals. Then operational plan. So operational plans or goals are the means to support tactical plans. These plans are highly specified and determine what different sections of the organization need to perform. It defines the specific procedures, process required at a lower delivery schedules as production runs human resources requirement. Okay, so basing upon this organizational plan, there are going to be a more of the levels in the organization. And then the second point will be on the basis of size. First we have seen about on the basis of organization, and secondly we are seeing about on the basis of use means which we can see standing plans, policies, methods, objectives, rules, as well as standards, schedules, procedures. All this we are going to take into consideration for the use. So here standing plans. Standing plans are known as repeated use plans since they are designed to be used over and over again. They are formulated to guide decision and actions on recurring problems. It facilitates quick decision making, reasoning, and analysis required initially to design a plan is not needed every time. These plans are applied wherever a similar situation arises. So objectives, policies, methods, and rules are different types. So this planning is going to be involved in all the types of the organization. So among this, the first will be the objective. They are usage is done through objective. Basing upon the objective, how they are going to reach the goals of the organization they are going to see. And then policies. See, policy describes the major features. So what are those major features mean? To again, it's the same, the accomplishment of objectives will be pursued. Okay. And then policies are general statements or understanding, which they require understanding point of view, which guide or channel thinking process in decision making of subordinates according to Kuhn's or O'Donnell. Then methods. Methods means which type of method they want to use for this basis use. Means method is a prescribed way in which one step of procedure is to be performed. Specified technique used in a conducting a written test is method, whereas the sequence of steps involved in the recruitment of personnel constitutes a procedure. So these methods are also very important. And then the next will be the rules. A rule is a guide to action. A rule is a more rigid, which may or may not be a part of the procedure. Rules do not have any scope. Okay, so any scope means according to discretion, a description of the organizational rules, they are going to follow the specified and definite rules, which breach of rules carries a penalty. And the next thing will be standards. So standards means which what standard of level should be done. A standard is a measurement of level of achievement desired. It becomes a model for all future evaluation. And then the finally schedules. Schedules means a specific schedule is time limits within which activities are to be completed. So scheduling is a process of establishing a time sequence for the work to be done. A schedule lays down the starting and ending time for different activities. So here procedure. Procedure is also most important. So procedures are clear cut administrative specifications prescribed in chronological. Chronological means one after the other procedure. See, one after two, two after three. This is called an chronological. Not one after three, three after two. This is not a chronological. The order which we are going to use, which we are going to plan, should be followed in a very neat way. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not 1, 3, 2, 5 like that. We should not do. Okay. So these plans are totally based upon the usage, how they are going to do, basing upon the standard schedules procedures. Okay. And the next thing is on the basis of time. On the basis of time means like there will be a long-term plans, short-term plans, which are going to be in a functional areas. Okay. Long term, medium, short term. So which time they want or they need and they are going to complete is totally depending upon the organizational point of view. Okay. And the next will be the on the basis of functional area. So functional areas means a functional plan describes the specific action. These plans are normally prepared for a period of 1 year. Okay, functional areas means like where the functional area is going in to happen in the organization, basically in the production, marketing, and financial. So production means it consists of planning and overseeing the process of converting inputs into value. And then marketing plans. So marketing plans are designed by marketing managers. They tell sales, marketing personnel, whom to sell, where to sell, what to sell, everything they are going to define. Then financial plans. Financial plans means financial managers will prepare the financial plans for raising, utilizing, and allocating financial resources effectively. So these plans meet the fixed and working capital required of the company. Financial plans contribute to the financial strength of the organization through effective cost control techniques. So these are the four on how the plans are going to work out. The first we have seen on the basis of levels of organization, and second on the basis of use, the third on the basis of time, and the fourth on the basis of the functional area. So all these, okay. So then after that, we have a one more topic in this planning is a planning process. Okay. So this planning process, one after the other, which we can see. Wait a moment. See how we are going to do planning process is being aware of opportunity. See, I have shared on the screen, these are the planning process, one after the other. Planning and procedure, just we have seen in the on the basis of time and the plans, how we are going to do miss there I have been given to you. So being aware of opportunity. Being aware of opportunity means naturally the first step in planning would be to find out the problem for opportunity to be seized. Okay, so that means what will be the opportunity and how it is going to be, what is the plan to be performed, and how which way the required it is sufficient to modify the existing plan. All we should do here in a planning. Okay. And the second thing is establishing objectives. So establishing objective means the immediate step in planning to establish objective, what type of objective, what is the aim, what is the main thing for the objective, specified results expected, which indicates everything. So objective must be specific, clear and informative while establishing the objective. And the third will be premising. The next logical step is to establish planning premises. So forecasting is important for premises, premising the kind of market which will be here. Okay. So what quantity will be the sale, what products and what cost, what wage rate, what tax rates and policies, everything, what political and social environment. Planning premises refer to the expected future environment and setting in which the plan has to be operated. So everything is going to done in the premising. Premising means the steps, what to do, where to do, which market and what products and what the wage rates and what the tax, everything they are going to involve here. So then the next fourth will be the determining the alternative cases. So determining the alternative courses means, see, when one plan of action which you have taken is not done, then immediately next alternative course should be done. So the next step would be to examine the strong and weak points in the light of premises and goals. So one course may appear to be most meritorious, but may require large resources for a long time to get back the investment made. So another way may be less profitable, but involves low, no risk. So here, the thing is to observe that we require the profit, but without no risk. That profit should also be how another may suit which suit the company's long range objective. So selecting a course. Selecting a course means the course of action which is point to which is planned to be adopted and decision is to be how they taken. Each of the above mentioned alternative course of action will be then have to be evaluated by judgment or with the help of quantitative techniques. So the quantitative techniques are those which are involved in the alternative selecting course of action, then formulating derivative plans. Formulating derivative plans means the plans which you are taking here should be basically marketing plan may result in derivative plans at advertising, pricing, and physical distribution plans. So these derivative plans are developed in each area of business so as to integrate policies, programs, and procedures, etc. So these policies, programs, and etc. are going to be done in the planning. So most probably these are the advantage, these are the process, and after the process we have the advantages. So the advantages are those: the better utilization of resources. Only 5 points are there in the page number 52. You can see, which I am not sharing on the screen. The first is the better utilization of resources. So how to utilize these resources, this is important. That is also required and done with the help of the planning, which decides what to produce. And the second thing is improves competitive strength. So competitive strength is improved by adding a new product, by changing in quality and size of product through expanded plant capacity and change in method of work. And the third is the improve ability to cope with changes. Planning helps management improve their ability to cope with change as well as the a formulative point of. Okay. And then the fourth point is create forward-looking attitude in management. So forward-looking attitude is that when you are going for the planning, a manager should become a prosperous and create forward-looking attitude. Okay, it ensures ability to management. And the fifth point will be prevents hasty judgment. Hasty judgment means planning solves a problem by analyzing and considering the alternatives. Okay, when you are always kept alternative. Means once the planning is not done, means immediately the alternative plan of action should be done. It is possible to plan in advance as to wait what will be done and how it will be done. Everything which we are going to, they are done with the help of the judgment. To prevent the hasty judgment, we need to take all the planning solutions to be taken into consideration and considering the alternatives before taking a sound decision. Okay. And the next point will be next another point after advantages. So we will be moving to the next. This all the planning is done through how? Through decision making. Okay. In the unit 6, we have a how we are going to take the decision basing upon the what. Okay, so decision making is an essential part of modern management. Manager is challenged to take decisions constantly, like where to invest, whether to procure new machinery or not, should a new product be launched, etc. Everything they are going to take a good decision in a visual element of good management, because decisions determine how the management solves its problems, allocates its resources, and accomplish the goals. So decision making is not easy, as it must be done and aim ever changing factors. Okay, unclear information and conflicting points of view. A decision is a choice made between the two or more variable alternatives. Decision making is the process of choosing the best alternative. Managers take decision and communicate them to their subordinates. Okay, so this is a point of how the decision making is going to done. And then next again we are moving to the features, how the decision making has been done, which also we can see here. The first point again I'm sharing on the screen. There's some of the definition and features of decision making, where you can check here, which I am sharing on the screen. Yeah, is it clear? Yes, I have shared one of the decision. Decision making is a selection based on some criteria from two or more possible alternatives. Okay, so it's a decision is an act of choice which has been where in a executive form, a conclusion about what must be done in given situation. A decision represents a behavior chosen from the number of possible alternatives. Okay, so these are the definitions which it has been given. And the next thing is the features. Features of decision making is, which is a goal oriented first point. Decision making is a goal oriented process. Decisions are made to achieve some goals. And then alternative decision is characterized by two activities. The manager searches more opportunities to arrive at decisions and for alternative solutions so that appropriate action may take place. So then the third point will be analytical. Analytical means decision making is both initiative and deductive logic. Part of it can be learned, but part of it which you are going to learn depends on the personal character of the decision maker. It is an important of intellectual abilities to a great extent. It is uniquely human as well as a product of deliberation. So to analyze, analytical, with okay, decision making is analytical in both initiative and deductive logic. Then dynamic process. So dynamic process means it is the process of using inputs effectively in the solution of selected problems and the creation of output that have utility. Depending on the situation, a manager takes a suitable decisions using his discretion and judgment. So finally, the process of the management or decision will be taken by the manager only. So this will be under the dynamic process, which we are going to take is called as a dynamic process. Then pervasive function. So pervasive function means it is a process of using inputs effectively in solution of selected problems and the creation of output that have utility. So here each The end of product manager's work is decision making and action. Decision making is spread over all over the management functions. So all over the management functions means the functions which are done under the managerial activity. And then continuous activity. So continuous activity means managers have to take decision throughout their career. It is a continuous activity. He decides things on a continual and regular basis. Decision making is not a one shot deal or one time affair. So continuous activity is the decision making will be going to done with the help of the continuous activity. Then commitment of time, effort and money. Commitment of time. So commitment of time is the decision making involves the time and effort of the manager. It also involves money, which may vary. So here time, effort, money, and commitment of who's the managers is very important. It also involves money, which may vary based on the time of the time, type and urgency of task, basing upon the which type of task they are going to do, everything they are going to see. And then human and social process. Human and social process is that decision making is a human and social process involving intellectual abilities, okay, intuition and judgment. For example, due to intense competition, managers cannot decide to shut down plants, which will affect thousands of workers. Hence, the social impact should also be considered. So, integral part of planning, as schools indicated, decision making is core of planning. Decision making and planning are situation in nature and involve choice among alternative course of action. Okay, so the what is that alternative course of action we want to know here? Okay, so the alternative course of action is when one plan which you have been initiated has not done in a proper way, and in the next minute, immediately the plan of action should be changed here, changed, and it should be done according to the organization point of view. So this organization is going to be totally and basically made in the examination point of view. Okay, so here this decision. See here I've shared the process of decision making, how we are going to do the decision making. See, the first one is there is a standardization procedure. Standardization procedure for making decision means, however, the typical steps involved in decision making process is given below. First is the setting objectives. An objective is an expected outcome of future events. It is better to know in advance what we are trying to achieve. Objectives are the criteria by which final outcome is to be measured. So the manager has to understand first the specific objective of taking the decisions before diagnosing a problem, identifying the problem, what problem, which type of problem should be done, and how they are going to be done. firstly, they need to set the objectives. Firstly, after setting the objectives by the manager, they has to be understand the first specific objective of taking the decision before diagnosing, and then identifying the problem. It involves defining, recognizing the problem, and in clear-cut manner, problems arise due to difference between what is and what should be. A well-defined problem have been solved. So managers can scan external as well as internal environment here. Okay. So the problem means to diagnose the problem, managers have to collect facts and information that have resulted in the problem. So this diagnosis helps to define problems, causes, origin, degree of severity, so that remedial action can be taken. Okay, remedial action, when we require, we need to done this. So this diagnosis requires three skills: noticing, interpreting, and incorporating. So noticing involves identifying signals from environment that contribute to the problem, as well as interpreting requires assessing the signals and determining the pattern. So incorporating means for integration. Integration the patterns into business goals. Okay. So here the next will be the establishing objectives. Establishing objectives are those manager have to collect relevant information. Okay. How means basing upon the process, again they are going to done how the process has should be done. Again, the the process of this diagram which I am going to share on the screen. Exam point of view, you need to draw this diagram also. Are you getting? See, I am sharing on the screen. Yeah, which I have shared on the screen. See, process. Okay, one first setting objectives, then identifying the problem. What are the causes? What are the remedial actions we can take for that? Everything we can identify, and then diagnosing the problem. Diagnosing means how to rectify the problem with the help of this remedial measures we are going to do, and then establishing objectives. After diagnosing the problem, establishing the objective. The problems may be divided into many sub problems. Each element of the problem should be investigated and correctly diagnosed. So these objectives are the end of result, and the next is the collection of relevant information. The next is the relevant info. 338. Okay, maybe 338, but in the textbook it is 62. Okay. Next will be the collection of relevant information. Managers have to collect relevant information from internal as well as external sources to facilitate taking the right decision. So developing alternative solutions is also one of the main theme which help of relevant information. The decision maker should formulate several alternative solutions. All alternatives should be weighted against each other. Okay, the alternative solutions are one of the important theme for processing of the decision making, and then evaluating alternatives. Evaluating alternatives are those after developing various alternatives, the next step is to judge and evaluate them through some decision criteria. The decision is most important here for the important evaluate the impact and implement all the alternatives which are tangible as well as intangible factors in implementing the decision must be studied. Okay. And after this, we have the implementation choice. Sorry, making the final choice. Making a final choice. Evaluating alternatives has been done. Then we have the making final choice. Making final choice is that after evaluating all the alternatives, the next step is to select the best solution for the organization point of view, which is goal oriented, whether with this we can be done or not. So here, this making choice is the final stage, And then implementing the choice. Implementing the choice means the choice which has been taken the final decision, final choice. The second will, the next will be the implementing choice. The implementing choice is the choice which has been taken as a final stage. After taking the final decision, the next phase is to put the decision into effect. The manager should communicate the decisions, motivate employees, and coordinate their efforts or successful implementation of alternative, which has been taken as a final turn. Then finally, we have to go with the feedback. Feedback means the implementation process should be monitored through progress reports to see if the goal is achieved or not. If there is any deviation, the same should be identified and modified if necessary. The management should receive continuous information and evaluate them to see if the alternatives are implemented on time with the stipulated cost or not. Everything they should be taken into consideration. Okay. And after this, we have the barriers. Okay. Barriers to effective decision making means what are the barriers they are going to ask? The barriers to effective decision making: lack of information. Barriers are those we can call it as a drawbacks. Lack of information. If there is a lack of information, also it is difficult for managers to take a decision. Then ineffective communication. If there is not a proper communication, ineffective communication, the major barrier. This makes decision difficult. Therefore, the manager should communicate in all the decisions clearly. And failure to evaluate correctly. And failure to evaluate correctly. Choice of the best source of courses. So here the choice of the best source of action require accurate appraisal of the possible outcomes of decision. Okay. And then indecisiveness. Indec- Indecisiveness means in some cases, managers cannot come to decision quickly. They take too long due to the fear of outcome. So indecisiveness leads to loss of business opportunity. Then ethical issues. Ethics are involved in decision making. They lead to dilemmas. It is a situation in which person needs to decide whether to do something beneficial to self, organization, but is considered unethical. Okay. Then escalated to commitment. Good decision making demands overriding and discontinuing old practices that have done with the help of the technology. Organizations are increasingly using computer technologies to facilitate decision making. Artificial intelligence is replacing human brain, but the decisions made with the help of such technologies carry the risk of being impersonal and difficult to follow up. So here the technology is most important. Organizations are increasingly using computer technologies. Okay, without a computer technology, we can't take any new invention or innovation or any changes we need to take or any updating of technology. Through the technology only we can carry the risk of being impersonal, which are difficult to follow up. Then psychological biases. These barriers come in the way of making. Wait a moment. So next is a psychological biases means these barriers come in a way of making optimum decisions. Such biases include illusion of control, discontinuing the future, and prior hypothesis basis. Illusion of control is the belief that one can influence events, even one has no control over confidence, can lead to failure to identify risk properly. Okay, so these all are the barriers for the effective decision making, which they can to be taken into consideration. And finally, in the second block, we have the last topic called management by objectives, which is important. Uh, so see, management by objective means here, see, meaning and definition of management by object. Traditionally, goal setting has been exclusive privilege the top management. The basic long-term objectives of the organization are the top management. The subsidiary goals are then set by middle level managers. So here the management is a subordinate managers is not obtained. So here management by objectives means, here management by objectives specify roles and responsibilities for employees and help them to set their future course of action in their organization. So MOB guides employees to perform their best and achieve their targets within the stipulated time. Okay. So within the stipulated, it guides employees to understand their duties at the workplace. So employees contribute to their own way to the achievement. And here, goals and objectives of the organization are those which has been done with the help of the organization point of view. So here, the top management must be committed to the MBO process and set appropriate objectives for the organization. The individual goals will be based on the overall objective. If the overall objectives are inappropriate, individual management by objectives will be also inappropriate. So why we require this management by objectives? Management by objectives is required for every organization for the setting of objectives which looks beyond the normal activities. It requires a manager of an organization to review the purpose which organization exists. In military form of organization, it is viewed with the mission statement and a discussion of its purpose. So the superior and his staff must then set the organizational objective in the areas. Okay. So here the characteristics of the MBO we are going to see now. The first is the superior subordinate participation. Superior is the higher, subordinate is the lower level. Both are so superior subordinate participation means MBO requires the superior and subordinate to recognize that the development of objectives is a joint project activity. They must jointly agree and write out their duties and areas of responsibility in their respective job. So here, superior subordinate action is that which is based totally with the help of the higher authority. There should be a participation always between the superior as well as subordinate. And the second, joint goal setting. So the management by objective emphasizes joint goal setting means the goals are tangible and verifiable and measurable. The subordinate in consultation with his superior sets own short-term goals. However, it is examined both by the superior and subordinate that goals are realistic and attainable. In brief, the goals are to be decided jointly through the participation of all. All should be participated in the goal-oriented setting. Okay, and then joint decision on methodology. So when you are taking certain decisions also, the methodology which you are using should be taken a joint decision. So MBO focus. MBO means management by objective focuses special attention on what must be accomplished rather than how it is accomplished. The superior and the subordinate mutually devise methodology to be followed in the attainment of objectives. And the fourth, makes way to attain maximum result. MBO is a systematic and rational technique that allows management to attain maximum results. So maximum result means from available resources by focusing on attaining goals. It permits a lot of freedom to subordinate to make creative decisions. So here MBO is a systematic and rational technique that allows management to attain maximum results from available resources by focusing on attainable goals. Okay, so it permits a lot of freedom to subordinate to make creative decisions. Okay, and then support from superior. Support from superior means they should get a support from superior. MBO is a systematic. Makes way to attain maximum result. Okay, so here the next thing is support from superior. When the subordinates makes efforts to achieve his goal, superiors helping hands in always available. So the superior act as a coach and provides his valuable advice and their guidance to the subordinate. This is how MBO facilitates effective communication between superiors and subordinates. So for achieving of the objectives, targets, and set, it should be mentioned clearly. So there should be a support from superior. Then clearly defined objectives. So clearly defined objectives are those. The objective of an organization should be clearly defined. The clearly defined objectives are interpreted by the executives. Okay, the objectives are defined by the higher that will be initiated and executed by the that will be interpreted and executed by the subordinate. So from the top level to lower level, the objectives are going to go step by step ahead. Okay, and then conformance to public. Conformance to public means the objectives of the organization must conform to the general needs of the public. So what are the requirement general needs of the public? The objectives existing organization conform to the requirements of the society. So however, some restrictions are put through social norms, rules, and customs while framing the objectives of the organization. It will be a most important term here. Then multiplicity of objectives. So multiplicity of objective means organizational have several objectives at a time. The reason is that objectives are necessary, maybe relating to the marketing or any others, which is going to be exam point of view. Okay, and which is to be relating to the marketing, innovation, and then profitability, productivity, physical and financial resources, and the development of social responsibility. So multiplicity of objective means it is there totally based upon the organizational point of view. Okay, then attainable objectives. So attainable objectives are those the framed objectives should be achievable. In other words, whatever may be the objective, that should be achievable in a reasonable one. Reasonable one means evaluating. The MBO set an evaluative mechanism by which the contribution of each individual can be measured. Each individual can be measured with the help of the management by objectives. Okay, so that will be the important point. And then so here with this, we have completed with the MBO. One limitations we have, they can ask in the exam point of view. So finally, the steps involved in the management by MBO means have you seen? Where else we'll see steps? Yeah, last topic we'll see steps involved in MBO is. Yeah, I'm sharing on the screen. Once you can see here. See here the steps in MBO is first is specifying objectives, then setting objectives, then reviewing and validating objectives, implementing objectives, and controlling and evaluating objectives. So firstly, we are going to see what are the specifying objectives. Specifying objectives are those in an organization, there will be specific objectives which are emphasized as a focal point in MBO. In the phrase, there should be clarified about the objectives which the organization is to attain. The long-term overall goals of the enterprise are laid down in a key result areas. So these goals are laid down keeping in view in the internal as well as external environments of the organization. And then setting objectives. Setting objectives are the next crucial step in setting of objectives. This is an important as a result expected. The objectives should be specified, clear, and without any ambiguity. They should be attainable within the reach of person concerned. So they should be stimulating and motivating, challenging. They should be within the organizational policies, procedures, and plans. So they must correspond to the exact requirements of the enterprise. The objectives should also be measurable. So the setting of objective means not at all only just setting of objective, but there should be exactly measurable. What is aim, objective, need, go, whether it is a goal oriented or not, everything should be done. Then reviewing objective. Reviewing objective means once you have been specified, setted the objective, then next thing is you need to review. Review is that under MBO settings, objective not to direction from the top, rather it is a way to superiors to suggest whether from the subordinates we are getting the proper results or not, whether they are performing in the proper way or not. Review the performance of the superior subordinates and validation of the objectives, everything, the network objective, which has been done or not. And then implementing objectives. It is necessary to have correct assessment of the present position in respect of management rules, procedures, systems, managers, and external environment while implementing objectives. Once the objectives are established, implementation of programs is developed for their accomplishment. So detailed procedures are set up for the utilization of resources and for achievement of predetermined targets. So the authority and responsibility of each job and its relation with their jobs should be clearly defined. Okay, clearly defining means they should understand properly what they are implementing, what are the plan of action, what how they have been designed, what is the present position, and how it is going to be forward the future. Okay, the relationship between the authority and responsibility also should be clearly defined. And the next point is evaluating objectives. So evaluating objective means at specified intervals, progress towards the accomplishment of objectives is reviewed and concentrate with subordinate. Here, objective must match, okay, against performance. If there are any errors, that should be deducted also. Evaluation means any problems or errors are there, that should be deducted, okay. And then final appraisal. Final appraisal is that a thorough evaluation of performance is made at the end of the year. Achievements are analyzed in the light of established objectives and standards. So organizational objectives implementation should be suitably modified. Modified means if any changes are there, should be done also, that should be done in a proper way. Okay, so the focus is on improving performance and on development. Okay, we have completed with this topic. So with this we have completed the second block. Okay, with this we have completed the second block, and in the next class we will be, tomorrow's class we will be more starting with the third block. Okay, is it clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Bye. Now, yeah, now, right now, you can leave the class. Bye.